Hello and welcome back. Alright, we're going to take a quick look at the structure of a really simple C++ program. I just want to give you a high-level overview of some of the different types of constructs that we're going to be seeing in a C++ program. I don't really expect you to necessarily get a lot from this video, but I just want to introduce you to these concepts so that when we actually revisit them later, um, you already have an idea of kind of how they fit into a real program. So the first part that we're going to look at the first part is the top of this file. So this file is called main.cpp. You should note that .cpp is the file extension that we'll be using for all of our C++ code files. You might also see .cc. This isn't really all that common anymore. You sometimes see it in a lot of Linux programs, but .cpp is much more common, and that's the one that we'll be using for our programs. So the first construct that you're going to see up here is what's called a multi-line, multi-line comment. Basically, a comment is a way to leave a note to either describe your code or leave some to-do list on what still needs to be implemented or document. Basically, it's a way to document your code. You can write whatever you want in there. Um, the next thing that we're going to see in this code is this pound include. And so this is what is known as a preprocessor directive. Basically, this is a special instruction that is used to pull in data. Well, the pound include specifically is to pull in data from another file. A preprocessor we'll talk about more in depth when we actually go over the steps of taking a set of C++ files and turning them into code. But basically, the preprocessor is something that's run before you actually compile your code. The next block that we see down here is a function block, or just a function. It has the name, the definition right here, which is this first line. And down here, we see the body of the function. So C++ is what is known as a curly brace language. So you'll see a curly brace here and a curly brace there. What that means is that all of the code that's associated with a function or within a specific scope of code is going to be surrounded by curly braces. This allows the compiler to know that this code actually belongs to the main function and doesn't belong to some other random spot in the code file. Alright, so if we go ahead and let's go ahead and take a look at the body of the code. So up here we saw multi-line comments. Well, that's all fine and dandy, but we don't really want to write this and this each time we write a comment that's only going to span one line. So in C++, there's an easy way to do that, and that's what this double forward slash is. This is a single line comment. So what it tells the compiler to do is ignore everything from the start all the way to the end of this line. This next line is what does the interesting work of this program. If you actually were to run this program from a command window, what you would see is hello, world, exclamation point, output to your console. And so the magic of that happens with this line right here. And so we'll talk more about what cout is, what the standard : is later, but really briefly, this is a standard namespace, this is a scope operator, and this is the cout object that actually represents the console. That probably doesn't make any sense to you. It's totally fine. Not necessary for this video. This next little thing, these double greater than symbols. our what's known as the shift left operator. Easy to remember because they're pointing to the left. This is used to, basically what this tells the compiler is that we shove this string, hello world, into the console. That's a good way to think about that. And the next thing you want to note is that all C++ statements end with a semicolon. If you forget this, the compiler will freak out and give you an error when you compile your code. All right, and the last line of code in this function block is the return statement. All functions that have a return type, so the return type is specified right here. All functions that have a return type that is not equal to this thing called void need to have a return statement. And so in this case, what this is going to do is going to return 0 back to whoever called our main function. Now the main function is special in C++ programs. This function gets called for you automatically when you run your program. This is basically your entry point into the program where you can write your code so that it starts to be executed, or so your program can start to be executed. There are two ways to define this main function in C++, two standard ways. You might see it a couple different ways, but the two standard ways are, one, the way we have it, which accepts two arguments, argc and argv. The argument names don't matter, but the types do. Int and char star, the char star array, are the important pieces, but I digress. And then the other way that you might see it is int main. Those are the only two standard ways to define the main function in C++. Now you might see in some older books or some bad places online this void main. This right here, don't do that. That is very bad. That's naughty. Some compilers used to let you get away with void, some still do, but technically it's incorrect. So standard C++ is int main, or basically this one right here. So yeah, that's the quick and dirty look at a C++ program. I don't really expect you to take a lot away from it. I just wanted to kind of give you a familiarity of what C++ code actually looks like, so that when we start talking about how a compiler works, you'll have at least an idea of what the code actually looks like. So, thanks.